The hour of 9:45 having arrived, I'd like to call the Kane County Board meeting of November 13th, 2018 to order. Clerk, call the roll.
Allen, Auger, Guerrero, Davis, Ford, Fries, Gillum, Hernandez, Hoshite, Ishmael, Kenyon, Kazarek, Leonard, Lewis, Martin, Molina, Sanchez, Shefflo, Silva, Smith, Sterrett, Thomas, Wegman, Winicki. We have a quorum.
Okay, we have a quorum. I'd like to welcome everyone to today's meeting. I'd like to welcome State's Attorney Joe McMahon and Celeste. I understand that you're sitting in for our County Clerk Jack Cunningham. I'd like to ask audit staff Kristen Jenkins to come to the microphone and lead us in the pledge. And if you'd remain standing, I'd appreciate it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you'd remain standing. Before we welcome Pastor Paul Sommerfeld to lead us in prayer, could we observe a moment of silence for Terry Hunt's mother-in-law, who passed away at the age of 99 last week. That's Marty's mom, and like many of us in this room, we're not complete without our spouses and then their entire families, and that's the way it is with Terry. So if we could observe a moment of silence for Terry's mother-in-law, appreciate it. Thank you. And Terry is at the funeral this morning, and so that's why he's not here to join us today. I'd like to ask Pastor Paul Sommerfeld from the Riverside Community Church in St. Charles to come to the microphone to lead us in prayer.
Good morning. Let's pray together. Heavenly Father, we have a great privilege to be part of a society which governs itself in an orderly manner according to the rule of law. We know that there's no authority except that which is established by you, even though not all governments submit to you. God, I thank you that this body does, and that this body seeks you first in prayer. God, I thank you for each of these members who serve our community. I pray that you would bless them for their service and give them adequate time to do all that is required without neglecting their faith or their family. God, we know that no person has in himself all that is needed to make good and right decisions in every situation. We need your wisdom. And you say in your word that you give it generously to all who ask. God, we pray for wisdom for these members as they navigate many difficult issues. We pray that for a spirit of unity as they lead, seeking what is right and benefiting the people they serve, people whom you love dearly. God, we pray that the work that is done would honor you and uphold the good that you desire. God, we commit this process and these leaders to you and ask your blessing upon them in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. May I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the October 9th, 2018 meeting? So moved by Mr. Kazarek, second by Ms. Allen. Are there any thoughts, comments, or changes? If not, all those in favor of approving the minutes say aye. Those opposed say nay. The motion passes. Minutes are approved. The presentation this morning, one quick item and then one additionally very important item. One of the big events this week, as most of you know, is selling $30 million worth of bonds to pay for the construction of the Long Meadow Parkway Bridge. Everybody who's been involved in that project did excellent preparation before a Standard & Poor's evaluation of our financial condition. The answer after that preparation and presentation was confirmation of the AA+ rating. So it bore fruit, all the effort bore fruit. Now, its market conditions are very tough. Over the last 6 to 9 months, the rates have been heading up, as again, most of you know. And so it's not optimal, but the preparation, everything that we could do at our end has been done. And we're in as good a position as we can be. We have a preliminary meeting, I believe, by phone this afternoon, and then we go through pricing tomorrow. So again, the people who were involved in that process did excellent work, so thank you very much. And now I would like to ask the following board members if they would please rise. Maggie Auger, Ron Ford, Becky Gillum, Don Ishmael, Kurt Kozarik, Phil Lewis, and T.R. Smith. Thank you very much for standing, and we would like to acknowledge and thank you for your service. So let's give a round of applause to these people. Thank you. Really wonderful work, and you leave the board and the county in a better condition, even better condition than when you found it. Let's see. Are there speakers on agenda and non-agenda items this morning? I understand that we don't have anyone who has signed up. Is there anybody who wants to address the board during this time? Okay. If not, we'll go on to our zoning petitions. I'd like to ask Development Committee Chairman Kurt Kozarik to discuss and make a motion to approve the zoning petitions on today's agenda. Mr. Kozarik.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. Our petition today is 4474, located in St. Charles Township. The proposed petition is for a special use in an F farming district for a daycare school. It is in line with the 2040 plan. There were no objectors. The recommendation of the regional planning, of the Zoning Board of Appeals was to approve with the following 5 stipulations. 2 of them were listed on the agenda. I'm going to read all 5 just to make sure that we can get it onto the agenda, or get it into the minutes. The first is the petitioner shall construct a fence along the southern property line of the children's play area. The second is the petitioner shall work with the Kane County Division of Transportation, KDOT, to resolve issues related to a proposed entrance sign along the right-of-way. The third is within 90 days of the approval of this petition, the applicant shall record a dedication of 45 feet of right-of-way from the center line of Silver Glen Road and a 15-foot highway easement along the entire frontage of the existing parcel. This area is to be dedicated at no expense to the county. The fourth stipulation is additional language shall be added to the highway easement, allowing a sign to be installed in the highway easement with no setback from the 45-foot right-of-way. The language shall also state that if at any time the sign is to be relocated or removed, it shall be done at the sole expense of the landowner. All such language must be approved by KDOT before the plat is submitted. And the fifth stipulation is that the petitioner shall construct a fence along the southern property line so that the play yard is completely enclosed by the petitioner's fence. The Development Committee voted to recommend approval with the 5 stipulations. I'll make the motion to approve at this time.
So moved by Mr. Kozarik, second by Mr. Ford. Are there any thoughts, questions, comments? Mr. Fraz.
I'd just like to mention that the state of Illinois and KDOT completed a recent major intersection improvement 2 lots down from this, without which this would have been a little tougher decision. And we've also worked with them on the sign issue that Kurt mentioned and right-of-way acquisition. So transportation is on board with this petition.
Thank you, Mr. Fraz. Any other thoughts or comments? If not, the clerk call the roll.
Allen. Auger. Yes. Barrero. Yes. Davis. Yes. Ford. Yes. Fraz. Yes. Gillum. Yes. Hernandez. Yes. Hoshite. Yes. Ishmael? Yes. Kenyon?
Yes.
Kazarek?
Yes.
Leonard? Lewis? Yes. Martin? Yes. Molina? Yes. Sanchez? Yes. Shefflo? Yes. Silva? Yes. Smith? Yes. Starrett? Yes. Thomas? Yes. Wegman? And Winicki? Yes. Passes.
The petition is approved. I would also like to take a moment just to recognize and thank Mr. Kazarek for the excellent work that he's done on, they're not always as easy as this proposal has been, and thank you very much for your grace and sense of responsibility. Okay, next I'd like to ask Finance Committee Chairman John Hoshite to make a motion to approve each of the tax levy resolutions and the 2019 budget ordinance individually. We'll require a roll call on each of these. This is going to take a few minutes, so I appreciate your patience. So,
Mr. Chairman, I move Resolution 18397, which is the resolution adopting the 2019 annual appropriations.
So moved by Mr. Hoshite, second by Mr. Fraz. Any thoughts, comments? Ms. Barrero?
Thank you, Chairman. I'd just like to have it stated for the record that I will be voting yes on the budget to hold, so that we don't hold out the process. But for the record, I disagree with the cuts to judicial and public safety, and that we have not included GPS or EHM. I did attend all the meetings with the Chief Judge to self-sustain the program with no resolution thus far. And the fact that the chairman still has his $25,000 in the budget, and we have not received any information regarding that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Barrero. Other thoughts or comments? If not, the clerk call the roll.
Allen? Auger? Yes. Barrero? Yes. Davis?
Yes.
Ford? Yes. Fraz? Yes. Gillum? Yes. Hernandez? Yes. Hoshite?
Yes.
Ishmael?
Yes.
Kenyon?
Yes.
Kazarek?
Yes.
Leonard?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Molina? Sanchez?
Yes.
Shefflo?
Yes.
Silva? Smith?
Yes.
Starrett?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Wegman?
Yes.
Winicki?
Yes.
Passes.
Next,
Okay.
I move Resolution 18398, the tax levy for Cheval de Selle Special Billing Area.
So moved by Mr. Hoshite, second by Ms. Winicki. Are there any thoughts or comments? If not, clerk call the roll.
Allen? Auger? Barrero? Davis?
Yes.
Ford? Fraz? Gillum? Hernandez? Hoshite?
Yes.
Ishmael? Kenyon?
Yes.
Kazarek?
Yes.
Leonard? Lewis?
Yes.
Martin? Molina? Sanchez?
Yes.
Shefflo?
Yes.
Silva? Smith?
Yes.
Starrett? Thomas? Wegman? Winicki? Passes.
Okay, motion passes.
Next, I move 18399, the tax levy for the County Bridge Fund.
So moved by Mr. Hoshite, second by Mr. Fraz. Any thoughts, comments? If not, clerk call the roll.
Allen? Auger? Barrero? Davis?
Yes.
Ford?
Yes.
Fraz? Gillum? Hernandez? Hoshite?
Yes.
Ishmael? Kenyon?
Yes.
Kazarek?
Yes.
Leonard?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Martin? Molina? Sanchez? Shefflo? Silva? Smith? Starrett? Thomas? Wegman? Winicki? Passes.
Motion passes.
Next, I move 18400, the tax levy for the Kane County Health Fund.
So moved by Mr. Hoshite, second by Dr. Silva. Any thoughts, comments? If not, clerk call the roll.
Allen? Auger? Barrero? Davis?
Yes.
Ford?
Yes.
Fraz? Gillum? Hernandez? Hoshite?
Yes.
Ishmael? Kenyon?
Yes.
Kazarek?
Yes.
Leonard? Lewis?
Yes.
Martin? Molina? Sanchez? Shefflo? Silva? Smith? Starrett? Thomas? Wegman? Winicki? Passes.
Motion passes.
Next, I move 18401, the tax levy for the County Highway Fund.
So moved by Mr. Hoshite, second by Mr. Fraz. Any thoughts, comments? If not, clerk call the roll.
Allen? Auger. Barrero. Davis. Ford. Fries. Gillum. Hernandez. O'Shea.
Yes.
Ishmael. Kenyon. Kazarek. Leonard. Lewis. Martin. Molina. Sanchez. Shefflo. Silva. Smith. Sterrett. Thomas. Wegman. Winnicke. Passes.
Motion passes.
Next, I move 18402, the tax levy for the county highway matching fund.
So moved by Mr. Hoshite, second by Mr. Franz. Any thoughts, comments? If not, clerk, call the roll.
Allen. Auger. Barrero. Davis. Ford. Fries. Gillum. Hernandez. O'Shea.
Yes.
Ishmael. Kenyon. Kazarek. Leonard. Lewis. Martin. Molina. Sanchez. Shefflo. Silva. Smith. Sterrett. Thomas. Wegman. And Winnicke. Passes.
Motion passes.
Next, I move 18403, the tax levy for the Crane Road Estates special billing area.
So moved by Mr. Hoshite, second by Mr. Davis. Any thoughts or comments? If not, clerk, call the roll.
Allen. Auger. Barrero. Davis. Ford. Fries. Gillum. Hernandez. O'Shea.
Yes.
Ishmael. Kenyon. Kazarek. Leonard. Lewis. Martin. Molina. Sanchez. Shefflo. Silva. Smith. Sterrett. Thomas. Wegman. Winnicke. Passes.
Motion passes.
Next, I move 18404, the tax levy for the Exposition View special billing area.
So moved by Mr. Hoshite, second by Mr. Ford. Any thoughts or comments? If not, clerk, call the roll.
Allen. Auger. Barrero. Davis. Ford. Fries. Gillum. Hernandez. O'Shea.
Yes.
Ishmael. Kenyon. Kazarek. Leonard. Lewis. Martin. Molina. Sanchez. Shefflo. Silva. Smith. Sterrett. Thomas. Wegman. Winnicke. Passes.
Motion passes.
Next, I move 18405, the tax levy for the Social Security Fund.
So moved by Mr. Hoshite, second by Ms. Allen. Any thoughts or comments? If not, clerk, call the roll.
Allen. Auger. Barrero. Davis. Ford. Fries. Gillum. Hernandez. O'Shea.
Yes.
Ishmael. Kenyon. Kazarek. Leonard. Lewis. Martin. Molina. Sanchez. Shefflo. Silva. Smith. Sterrett. Thomas. Wegman. Winnicke. Passes.
Motion passes.
Next, I move 18406, the tax levy for the general fund.
So moved by Mr. Hoshite, second by Mr. Smith. Any thoughts or comments? If not, clerk, call the roll.
Allen. Auger. Barrero. Davis. Ford. Gillum. I'm sorry, Fries. Gillum. Hernandez. O'Shea.
Yes.
Ishmael. Kenyon. Kazarek. Leonard. Lewis. Martin. Molina. Sanchez. Shefflo. Silva. Smith. Sterrett. Thomas. Wegman. Winnicke.
Motion passes.
Yep.
Next, I move 18407, the tax levy for the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund.
So moved by Mr. Hoshite, second by Ms. Winnicke. Any thoughts, comments? If not, clerk, call the roll.
Allen. Auger. Barrero. Davis. Ford. Fries. Gillum. Hernandez. O'Shea.
Yes.
Ishmael. Kenyon. Kazarek. Leonard. Lewis. Martin. Molina. Sanchez. Shefflo. Silva. Smith. Sterrett. Thomas. Wegman. Winnicki? Yes. Passes.
Okay, motion passes.
Next, I move 18408, the tax levy for the insurance liability fund.
So moved by Mr. Hoshite, second by Mr. Leonard. Any thoughts, comments? Not, clerk, call the roll.
Ellen? Aye. Auger? Yes. Barrero? Davis? Yes. Ford? Yes. Fraz? Yes. Gillum? Yes. Hernandez? No. Oshite?
Yes.
Ishmael? Oh God, I went blank. Kenyon?
Yes.
Kazarek?
Yes.
Leonard?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Martin? Molina? Sanchez?
Yes.
Shefflo?
Yes.
Silva? No. Smith?
Yes.
Sterrett? No. Thomas? Yes. Wegman? No. Winnicki? Yes.
Motion passes.
Yep.
Next, I move 18409, the tax levy for the Middle Creek Special Billing Area.
So moved by Mr. Hoshite, second by Mr. Sanchez. Any thoughts or comments? If not, clerk, call the roll.
All right. Allen? Aye. Auger? Yes. Barrero? Yes. Davis?
Yes.
Ford? Yes. Fraz? Yes. Gillum? Yes. Hernandez? Yes. Hoshite?
Yes.
Ishmael? Yes. Kenyon?
Yes.
Kazar?
Yes.
Leonard?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Molina? Sanchez?
Yes.
Shefflo?
Yes.
Silva?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Sterrett? Yes. Thomas? Yes. Wegman? Yes. Winnicki? Yes. Passes.
Passes.
Next, I move 18410, which is the tax levy for the Mill Creek Special Service Area.
Okay, so moved by Mr. Hoshite, second by Mr. Fraz. Any thoughts or comments? If not, clerk, call the roll.
Ellen? Aye. Auger? Yes. Barrero? Yes. Davis? Yes. Ford? Yes. Fraz? Yes. Gillum? Yes. Hernandez? Yes. Hoshite?
Yes.
Ishmael? Yes. Kenyon?
Yes.
Kazarek?
Yes.
Leonard? Yes. Lewis?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Molina? Yes. Sanchez?
Yes.
Shefflo?
Yes.
Silva? Yes. Smith?
Yes.
Sterrett? Yes. Thomas? Yes. Wegman? Yes. Winnicki? Yes. That passes.
Motion passes.
Next, I move 18411, which is the tax levy for Ogden Gardens Special Billing Area.
So moved by Mr. Hoshite, second by Dr. Silva. Any thoughts or comments? If not, clerk, call the roll.
Ellen? Aye. Auger? Yes. Barrero? Yes. Davis?
Yes.
Ford? Yes. Fraz?
Yes.
Gillum? Yes. Hernandez? Yes. Hoshite?
Yes.
Ishmael? Yes. Kenyon?
Yes.
Kazarek?
Yes.
Leonard?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Martin? Molina? Sanchez?
Yes.
Shefflo?
Yes.
Silva?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Sterrett? Yes. Thomas?
Yes.
Wegman? Yes. Winnicki?
Yes.
Passes.
Motion passes.
Next, I move 18412, the tax levy for the Pasadena Drive Special Billing Area.
So moved by Mr. Hoshite, second by Mr. Sanchez. Any thoughts, comments? If not, clerk, call the roll.
Allen? Aye. Auger? Yes. Barrero? Yes. Davis?
Yes.
Ford?
Yes.
Fraz?
Yes.
Gillum?
Yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Hoshite?
Yes.
Ishmael?
Yes.
Kenyon?
Yes.
Kazarek?
Yes.
Leonard?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Molina?
Yes.
Sanchez?
Yes.
Shefflo?
Yes.
All right, Silva?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Sterrett?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Wegman?
Yes.
Winnicki?
Yes.
Passes.
Motion passes.
Next, I move 18413, which is the tax levy for Plank Road Estates Special Billing Area.
So moved by Mr. Hoshite, second by T.R. Smith. Any thoughts, comments? If not, clerk, call the roll.
Ellen? Aye. Auger? Yes. Barrero?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Ford?
Yes.
Fraz?
Yes.
Gillum?
Yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Hoshite?
Yes.
Ishmael?
Yes.
Kenyon?
Yes.
Kazarek?
Yes.
Leonard?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Molina?
Yes.
Sanchez?
Yes.
Shefflo?
Yes.
Silva?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Sterrett?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Wegman?
Yes.
Winnicki?
Yes.
Passes.
Passes.
Next, I move 18414, which is the tax levy for Shirewood Farm Special Service Area.
Okay, so moved by Mr. Hoshite, second by Ms. Wodnicki. Any thoughts, comments? If not, clerk, call the roll.
Ellen. Auger. Ferrero. Davis. Ford. Fries. Gillum. Hernandez. Hoshite.
Yes.
Ishmael. Kenyon. Kazarek. Leonard. Lewis. Martin. Sanchez. Shefflo. Silva. Smith. Sterrett. Thomas. Wegman. Wonicky. Molina, I'm sorry. Thank you. Do I have everybody? Okay, passes.
Motion passes.
Next, I move 18415, the tax levy for Sunvale Special Billing Area.
So moved by Mr. Hoshite, second by Mr. Sanchez. Any thoughts, comments? If not, clerk, call the roll.
Allen. Auger. Guerrero. Davis. Ford. Fries. Gillum. Hernandez. Hoshite.
Yes.
Ishmael. Kenyon. Kazarek. Leonard. Lewis. Martin. Molina. Sanchez. I'm sorry. Shefflo. Silva. Smith. Sterrett. Thomas. Wegman. Wonicky. Passes.
Motion passes.
Next, I move 18416, the tax levy for Tamara Dittman Special Billing Area.
So moved by Mr. Hoshite, second by Ms. Allen. Any thoughts, comments? If not, clerk, call the roll.
Ellen. Auger. Ferrero. Davis. Ford. Fries. Gillum. Hernandez. Hoshite.
Yes.
Ishmael. Kenyon. Kazarek. Leonard. Lewis. Martin. Molina. Sanchez. Shefflo. Silva. Smith. Sterrett. Thomas. Wegman. Wonicky. Passes.
Motion passes.
Next, I move 18417, which is the tax levy for the Veterans Commission Fund.
So moved by Mr. Hoshite, second by Mr. T.R. Smith, and seconded by Don Ishmael. Any thoughts, comments? If not, all those in favor say, clerk, call the roll.
Ellen. Auger. Guerrero. Davis. Ford. Fries. Gillum. Hernandez. Hoshite.
Yes.
Ishmael. Kenyon. Kazarek. Leonard. Lewis. Martin. Molina. Sanchez. Shefflo. Silva. Smith. Sterrett. Thomas. Wegman. And Wonicky. Passes.
Motion passes.
Finally, I move 18418, the tax levy for Wildwood West Special Billing Area.
So moved by Mr. Hoshite, second by Mr. Leonard. Any thoughts, comments? If not, clerk, call the roll.
Ellen. Auger. Guerrero. Davis. Ford. Fries. Gillum. Hernandez. Hoshite.
Yes.
Ishmael. Kenyon. Kazarek. Leonard. Lewis. Martin. Molina. Sanchez. Shefflo. Silva. Smith. Sterrett. Thomas. Wegman. Wonicky. Passes.
It passes. I would just like to make the observation that we've just transacted $250 million worth of budget business in an orderly and proper way. I'd like to thank everybody who has participated in that process and acknowledge the chairman of the Finance and Budget Committee, Mr. John Hoshite, for his consistently good work on those matters. So, John, thank you very much for your good work. Okay, now we go to the consent agenda. Would anyone want to remove anything from the consent agenda? Ms. Allen?
Number 438, 439, and 440 are all house cleaning resolutions, and they come back to us because we didn't do it the right way the first time, so this is our chance to fix it.
Okay, did you want to remove those or just make that observation?
I think that we'd have to vote on them separately
Okay.
because some of us will have to abstain.
You're right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Others? Ms. Thomas?
18422.
I'm sorry. Would you repeat that, Ms. Thomas? I know it's 18.
18-422.
422. Okay. Others? Mr. Fraz?
18-447.
18-447. Others? Okay, then may I have a motion and a second, seeing nothing else, may I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda with the exceptions of 18-422, 438, 439, 440, and 447. May I have a motion? So moved by Mr. Ford, second by Ms. Allen. Clerk, call the roll.
Ellen. Auger. Yes. Barrero. Yes. Davis. Yes. Ford. Yes. Fries. Yes. Gillum. Yes. Hernandez. Yes. Hoshite.
Yes.
Ishmael. Yes. Kenyon. Yes. Kazarek. Yes. Leonard. Yes. Lewis. Yes. Martin. Yes. Molina. Yes. Sanchez. Yes. Shefflo. Yes. Silva. Yes. Smith. Yes. Sterrett. Yes. Thomas. Yes. Wegman. Yes. Winnicki. Yes. Passes.
The motion passes. On number 18-422, Ms. Thomas, would you like someone else to make the motion and the second? Or would you like to make the motion?
Someone else can make it.
Okay. So moved by Mr. Lewis, second by Ms. Barrero. Ms. Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My only objection is that the schedule of fees is not included in the packet. So I don't know if someone has it in front of them, they could maybe share some of the changes with us.
Okay. And this came out of perhaps a development committee. Mr. Kozark, would you like to address that, or?
I understand your concern. I think in retrospect it should have been included in there. I know it is in the development committee's minutes and agenda packet, so it is available for public discussion or public review. But I don't have it in front of me at this time.
Okay. Thank you. So we have a motion and a second. Thank you, Mr. Kozark. Motion and a second. Clerk, and comments, other comments. Mr. Lewis.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to congratulate Mark Van Kerkhoff. I know this is a lot of work for you and your development team. And I also want to congratulate the development committee. This took a while to get through, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. And I encourage the development committee to stay on top of this and let's not let 14 years go by again, okay? So thank you.
And also, thank you, Mr. Lewis, for your work on this in initiating the conversation and staying on top of all of it. Okay, any other comments? If not, clerk, call the roll.
Ellen. Auger. Yes. Barrero. Yes. Davis. Yes. Ford. Yes. Fries.
Yes.
Gillum. Yes. Hernandez. Yes. Hoshite.
Yes.
Ishmael. Yes. Kenyon.
Yes.
Kazarek.
Yes.
Leonard.
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
Molina. Yes. Sanchez.
Yes.
Shefflo.
Yes.
Silva. No? I'm sorry? I can't hear you. Yes. Okay, thank you. Smith? Yes. Sterrett? Yes. Thomas?
Yes.
Wegman? Yes. Winnicki? Yes. Passes.
Motion passes. Now, a motion and a second on number 18438, upon which Ms. Thomas, I believe that she'll abstain. So moved by Ms. Allen, second by Mr. Sanchez. Any thoughts, comments? If not, clerk, call the roll.
All right. Ellen? Aye. Auger? Yes. Barrero? Yes. Davis?
Yes.
Ford?
Yes.
Fries?
Yes.
Gillum?
Yes.
Hernandez. Yes. Hoshite.
Yes.
Ishmael. Kenyon.
Yes.
Kazarek.
Yes.
Leonard.
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
Molina. I'm sorry? Okay. Sanchez.
Yes.
Shefflo.
Yes.
Silva.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Sterrett.
Yes.
Thomas. Okay. Wegman.
No.
And Winicki.
Yes.
Passes.
Okay, motion passes. Next on number 18439, upon which Mr. Sanchez will abstain. So moved by Mr. Leonard, second by Ms. Allen. Any thoughts, comments? If not, clerk, call the roll.
Allen. Auger.
Yes.
Ferrero.
Yes.
Davist.
Yes.
Ford.
Yes.
Raz.
Yes.
Gillum.
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Hoshite.
Yes.
Ishmael. Kenyon.
Yes.
Kazarek.
Yes.
Leonard.
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
Molina. Sanchez. Stays. Shefflo.
Yes.
Silva.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Sterrett.
Yes.
Thomas.
Yes.
Wegman. And it's a no. Okay. Winicki.
Yes.
Passes.
Okay, motion passes. May I have a motion and a second to approve number 18440? So moved by Ms. Winicki, second by Mr. Kazarek, and I believe that Ms. Allen will abstain on this. Any thoughts, comments? Clerk, call the roll.
Allen. Abstain. Auger.
Yes.
Ferrero.
Yes.
Davist.
Yes.
Ford.
Yes.
Fraz.
Yes.
Gillum.
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Hoshite.
Yes.
Ishmael.
Yes.
Kenyon.
Yes.
Kazarek.
Yes.
Leonard.
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
Molina. Sanchez.
Yes.
Shefflo.
Yes.
Silva.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Sterrett. Thomas.
Yes.
Wegman. And Winicki.
Yes.
Still passes.
Okay, motion passes. Next, number 18447. I believe, Mr. Fraz, would you like to make the motion?
I'd actually like to yield my motion to Maggie Auger and hopefully second from Becky Gillum.
Okay, so moved by Ms. Auger, second by Ms. Gillum. Mr. Fraz.
Yes, and I'd also like to ask them to stand, as well as former board member Joe Heyman in the audience, if you would mind standing, please.
Number was this? I'm sorry.
This resolution approves a $25 million milestone contract for the Long Meadow Parkway project. This is section C1, which includes the bridge project. This is the big contract. I wanted to give Maggie Auger, Becky Gillum the honor of moving this item, and as this is their last full board meeting, I'd like to thank them, along with former board member Joe Heyman, for their unwavering support with the project. Joe, we have a motion and a second. Would you like to do an honorary third? Third. This contract we are approving today is 25% below the engineer's estimate, and coupled with our recent AA+ bond rating that was mentioned earlier, this leaves us in an extraordinarily good position for this project to move forward. I'd also like to thank the entire board, staff, and everybody else, but especially our board members that are leaving. And thanks for your help.
Thank you, Mr. Fraz. Any thoughts or comments? Ms. Auger?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank KDOT for all the work that they've done. Carl, Tom, Steve, you guys have been so strong and did a lot of extra work, put in a lot of extra time, and I really appreciate that. And I also want to thank the board for all your support for this much-needed transportation project up north. Thank you very much. Keep up the good work.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Auger. Other thoughts or comments? Okay, if not, clerk, call the roll.
Allen. Auger.
Yes.
Ferrero.
Yes.
Davist.
Yes.
Ford.
Yes.
Raz.
Yes.
Gillum.
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Hoshite.
Yes.
Ishmael.
Yes.
Kenyon.
Yes.
Kazarek.
Yes.
Leonard.
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
Molina.
Yes.
Sanchez. Shefflo.
Yes.
Silva.
Yes.
Smith? Yes. Sterrett? Yes. Thomas? Yes. Wegman? Yes. Winnicki?
Yes.
Passes.
Okay, motion passes. And again, thank you very much, Mr. Fraz, and all the members who have been involved in putting together part of our transportation network. Okay, that takes care of the consent agenda. Now we go to appointments. I'm going to ask our recording secretary Christy, to pass out some of the names. The first on the agenda is going to be the Kane County Emergency Telephone Systems Board. They're the people who will be assigned and reappointed are Randy, and it does, let's see, Batavia. Ms. Sterrett, how does the fire chief of Batavia pronounce his last name? It's Randy Dickey? Okay. Then Sugar Grove Police Chief Patrick Collins, and then our very own Michelle Guthrie from the Kane County, the KaneCom Director. May I have a motion and a second to approve these? So moved by Ms. Sterrett, second by Ms. Allen. Any thoughts, comments? If not, Ms. Barrero?
I just have a quick question. Are any of these boards paid?
No.
Have a salary?
No. Any other thoughts or comments?
I think the RTA is...
No, I'm sorry. I thought that you were asking about the emergency telephone.
No, I meant...
Oh, okay. Let's see. Zoning Board, let's see. Is Mark Armstrong here today? So number one, Emergency Telephone Systems Board, the ETSB? No. Is Mark Armstrong here today? Okay. Sorry?
Frank Kirkhoff.
Okay.
Yeah, zoning
Mark?
board receives a per diem per meeting.
Okay, and what is that amount? Do you recall?
$60 per meeting.
Okay, so $60 per meeting. And then the Regional Transportation Authority, the RTA Board, it is a compensated, is that the $25,000 or $15,000? By any chance, Joe, do you know, or, okay, Carl?
Yeah, we're 90% sure it's the $25,000 figure.
Okay.
Annual.
I believe it's $25,000 a year. Okay, so back to the Kane County Emergency Telephone Systems Board, ETSB. Any other thoughts or comments? Yes, Ms. Molina, if you'd rise.
Just a quick comment again on all these appointments. I'm not sure why the chairman wasn't able to provide us the names and resumes ahead of today's meeting. For that reason, I'll be abstaining from all of these votes.
Thank you. Others? Thank you. Clerk, call the roll.
Ellen?
Aye.
Auger?
Yes.
Barrero?
Abstain.
Davist?
Is this the ETSD?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, Davist? All right, I'm sorry, Ford?
Yes.
Fraz?
Yes.
Gillum?
Yes.
Hernandez?
Abstain.
Right. Hoshite?
This is to approve the motion, and the second is to approve the appointments to Kane County Emergency Telephone System Board. And the people are the Batavia Fire Chief, the Sugar Grove Police Chief, and the KaneCom Director. Yes.
So,
Okay, and so your vote is?
I'm sorry, Hoshite?
Yes.
Okay. Ishmael? Kenyon?
Yes.
Kazarek?
Yes.
Leonard?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Molina?
Abstain.
Sanchez?
Yes.
Shefflo?
Yes.
Silva?
I'm going to abstain on this one.
Smith?
Yes.
Sterrett?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Wegman?
Yes.
Winnicki?
Yes.
Yeses.
Okay, the motion passes. May I have a motion and a second to approve the appointment to the Kane County Zoning Board of Appeals, and that is James Plazinski from Geneva Township, and he is replacing Ann Michelson. and I believe that that was on the recommendation of Mark Van Kerkhoff, and then it went through the necessary process. So moved by Mr. Hoshite, second by Mr. Kozarek. Any thoughts or comments? Ms. Wodnicki?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick question. Ann Michelson, I know, was chair of the Zoning Board of Appeals. Will he be taking over as chairman of that committee?
No, I believe that they elect their chairman, although I should ask Mark Van Kerkhoff to be sure.
Sure, yeah. Judge Barbosa is chair of the ZBA, but he had recused himself from the Maxim hearing, so Ann Michelson filled in for those hearings, and she has relocated with her family to Louisville, Kentucky. Thank you.
Okay. So does that answer? Okay. Any other questions? Mr. Fraz.
Yeah, I just want to mention Jim Planzinski actually worked at the county back in the 80s, and I had the pleasure of working with him on some personal zoning issues. And, he went to Bartlett for many, many years, so he is a esteemed and well-respected person that's very knowledgeable about zoning issues. So I highly recommend him.
Okay, thank you. Other comments? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
Ellen? Aye. Auger? Yes. Barrero? Abstain. And Davis?
Yes.
Ford? Yes. Fraz?
Yes.
Gillum?
Yes.
Hernandez?
Same.
Hoshite?
Yes.
Ishmael?
No.
Kenyon?
Yes.
Kozarek?
Yes.
Leonard?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Molina? Okay. Sanchez?
Yes.
Cheflo?
Yes.
Silva?
I will vote yes on this.
Smith?
Yes.
Sterrett?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Wegman?
Yes.
Wodnicki?
Yes.
Passes.
Okay, motion passes. May I have a motion and a second to approve the appointment to the Regional Transportation Authority Board of Chris Groven? So moved by Mr. Fraz, second by Miss Allen, and again seconded by, I guess, Mr. Leonard. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Background, I believe that everybody has in front of them Mr. Groven's resume and cover letter. Mr. Groven is married to Ruth Groven. He's 52 years old. They have 3 children, a 22-year-old chemical engineer at University of Illinois son, a 17-year-old mechanical engineer daughter, also at the University of Illinois. And then they have, in high school, their daughter is a dancer. And we went through the process of advertising the position for an appropriate period of time. We then called in 4 people for interviews. The interview committee was Drew Frost, who's chairman of the Transportation Committee, Deb Allen, chairman of the Administration Committee, Bill Leonard, chairman of the Human Services, and then myself. Some of the things that stand out, oh, and then, please excuse me, and thank you for reminding me. Carl Shadle sat next to me during the interviews, asked very penetrating questions. So Carl Shadle, thank you very much for the experience you brought. Let's see, all 4 candidates who made it to the interviews, very good. The skills that stood out for Mr. Groven is 28 years with British Petroleum, or BP. Skills are planning and financial background. He's a civil engineer. Infrastructure project management, especially important as we try to take care of the infrastructure for the region. He recognizes that the quality of assumptions and data is a precursor to the quality of the conclusions that board members can come to. He comes from, again, the 28 years with BP, where he had a number of different assignments. BP, 25,000 employees, so he's used to an operation that is very large in magnitude. He had assignments in various places, one in London, where he was assigned to a sustainable downstream environment, which had to do with social responsibility for BP's operation both in London and worldwide. He formed a steering committee as he managed that process of actually, one of the responsibilities that he had was the consolidation of the campus, the BP Emeco Research Campus over in Naperville. He had a representative from each of the 6 buildings, not only to gather information from people who worked in those buildings, but also to transmit information back in. The way that he received the information that this opening was available was that his wife showed him a copy of the Kane County Connects, and from there he explored it some more and then made his application. I think that it was Albert Einstein who said that one of the marks of genius, type of genius, is to think in analogies. Not only did he bring examples of how he brings skills to this responsibility from BP, but also as the manager of the Whiting Refinery, another large operation and complicated operation, brings that kind of skill to this. Are there any other thoughts or comments that any of the interviewers would like to mention of what they saw during the interview where Chris Groven was the unanimous selection? Mr. Fraz?
Yeah, I think as the chairman mentioned, all 4 of the applicants were really good, and we really liked one of the guys we interviewed before, Chris. He lives in my district. None of us had met him until he walked into the interview. I would mention at the Whiting Refinery assignment, he had $1 billion budget. RTA is a big deal, lots of big numbers. So we were very impressed, and I think it would be safe to say he blew the committee away. So it was a unanimous recommendation.
Okay, any other thoughts or comments? Ms. Allen?
These candidates were really impressive, hard choices. One of the things that we particularly appreciated was that this gentleman seemed to be somebody who'd be very comfortable working with a very large budget and understanding it and maneuvering with it. And he had an understanding is we all represent Kane County. In his case, he's responsible for our whole region, but we have we also do our representing with our districts in mind. And so his job is to sit at this large table of people and make sure that Kane County's interests are paramount in the thoughts of everyone who is there participating while he thinks of regional initiatives. And one of the things that made us think that he would be able to do that especially well was that when he was working in BP, he had the responsibility for people who were above him. So he was taking in information and shooting it upwards. But he said equally important, maybe even more important, was the fact that they were making decisions about the organization at the level where he was. So he brought in people from divisions that he was responsible for and asked them to be part of that decision-making process so that everybody could buy in to the decisions that were finally made about how they were going to move buildings around and how they were going to move responsibilities around. So I think that, at least to me, that it meant a lot that I see him sitting at a table with a whole bunch of people, and he needs to be able to build consensus with all of them as best as he can. So that's the reason that I think he rose to our top recommendation.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. Any other thoughts? Mr. Leonard?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to mention that I think his 28 years experience with BP was very impressive. He was over in London for 3 years, and did a wonderful job there integrating different socioeconomic and environmental issues with the people over there. Two personal notes that I really liked about him. Number one was when he worked with other people, he was in charge of many people and he had many management responsibilities, but he never said anybody worked for him. He said, we work together. And I really liked that. I thought that was something that showed that he listened to people and he treated them equally, and I think that was very important. The other thing that I liked, he said if he would be fortunate enough to be appointed, he was wondering if it would be okay to meet with Don DeWitt, who is the retiring RTA chairman, and also with Kurt Dillard, who is the RTA chairman. Excuse me, Don DeWitt was our representative from Kane County. So I think he knows how to get to the point of finding out what he needs to know to be effective. And I think he'd be an excellent person representing Kane County.
Okay, thank you. Any other thoughts or comments, questions? Okay, if not, you know, I appreciate the comments also that were made about the high quality of the people from Kane County who applied for the position. And I don't think that he would mind if I mentioned his name. Dave Anderson, who for many years has served as the village president of Elburn, also brought forward his skills and his contacts. Dave has done a wonderful job of putting together coalitions to help our region in Kane, Kendall, and I believe, is it Kane and Kendall mayors and village presidents, and he's just an outstanding candidate. And so I just would like to, he's an honorable mention. We're so fortunate to have people like Dave who live here and would offer to help us on these responsibilities. So if there are no other comments, questions, Ms. Thomas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to abstain from this vote. I'm sure that the candidate in front of us is a more than capable of the job and the task at hand, but some of us have expressed concerns about the selection process and the actual application process around some of these boards and commissions, and so it's on that basis that I'm expressing objectives. I took objections. I took a quick look at our list of boards and commissions. I don't even see RTA on the site, and I don't know if that's because, you know, it doesn't come out of, the funding for this position doesn't come out of our budget, but it's not even on the site. So, you know, I think some of us have objections to the process here.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Thomas. Ms. Allen?
I think part of this is our process is also a little erratic this time because of Mr. DeWitt retiring in order to take his new position when he was just elected as a state senator, replacing Karen McConaughey, who had won that position in the primary and then removed herself from the ballot. The interviews were just on Friday, and I think the interest was in getting our replacement person in as expeditiously as we could. Apologies to anybody who felt that there wasn't enough time. I think we were just trying to move as quickly as we could.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Allen. Any other thoughts or comments? Okay, if not, the clerk call the roll.
Allen. Auger.
Yes.
Guerrero.
Yes.
Davis.
Yes.
Ford.
Yes.
Fraz.
Yes.
Gillum.
Yes.
Hernandez.
Abstain.
Hoshite.
Yes.
Ishmael. Kenyon.
Yes.
Kazarek.
Yes.
Leonard.
Yes.
Lewis.
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
Molina. All right. Sanchez.
Yes.
Shefflo.
Yes.
Silva.
Abstain.
Smith.
Yes.
Sterrett.
Yes.
Thomas.
Abstain.
Wegman.
Abstain.
And Winicki.
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes. May I have a motion and a second to go into executive session? So moved by Mr. Sanchez, second by Mr. Hoshite. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Okay, now that we're back in open session, may I have a motion and a second to approve settlement of claims numbers 17 CV 5461 and 17 CV 3435? So moved by Mr. Kozarek, second by Ms. Auger. Clerk, please call the roll.
Allen? Aye. Auger? Yes. Barrero? Yes. Davis? Yes. Ford? Yes. Fraz? Yes. Gillum? Yes. Hernandez? Yes. Hochheit?
Yes.
Ishmael?
Yes.
Kenyon?
Yes.
Kozarek?
Yes.
Leonard?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Molina? Sanchez?
Yes.
Shefflo?
Yes.
Silva?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Starrett? Thomas? Wegman? Winicky?
Okay, motion passes. May I have a motion and a second to approve settlement of claim number 14 WC 039312? So moved by Mr. Sanchez, second by Mr. Shefflo. Clerk, please call the roll.
Ellen? Aye. Auger? Yes. Barrero? Yes. Davis?
Yes.
Ford?
Yes.
Fraz?
Yes.
Gillum? Yes. Hernandez?
Yes.
Hochheit?
Yes.
Ishmael? Ishmael?
Yes.
Kenyon?
Yes.
Kozarek?
Yes.
Leonard?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Molina? Sanchez?
Yes.
Shefflo?
Yes.
Silva? Smith?
Yes.
Starrett?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Wegman? Winicky?
Yes.
Motion passes. May I have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 18457? So moved by Ms. Starrett, second by Mr. Sanchez. Clerk, please call the roll.
Ellen? Aye. Auger? Yes. Barrero?
Yes.
Davis?
Yes.
Ford?
Yes.
Fraz?
Yes.
Gillum?
Yes.
Hernandez?
Yes.
Hochheit?
Yes.
Ishmael? Okay. Kenyon?
Yes.
Kozarek?
Yes.
Leonard?
Yes.
Lewis?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Molina? Sanchez?
Yes.
Shefflo?
Yes.
Silva?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Starrett?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yes.
Wegman?
Yes.
Winicky? Passes.
Okay, motion passes. May I have a motion and a second to adjourn? So moved by Mr. Smith, second by Ms. Wegman. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Thank you very much.